So, what does it feel like to be a black man in America?
To be a black man in America feels like you're hunted, suspicious, and marginalized. We are hunted because those who invest in our oppression understand the power that we have and has programmed us that we are powerless. Suspicion is everywhere you go. We don't blow up schools, we don't hijack planes, we don't do mass shootings, we are not serial killers, but anywhere we go based on the programming of the masses, we are understood to be suspicious. And lastly, marginalized. No matter how perfect we do things, because we do everything we get our hands on, we do great because we are the originators, and we still marginalized, either through family links or fraternal links or any type of nepotism. Somebody else gonna get the job, somebody else gonna get the promotion, somebody else gonna get the highest salary, because to empower one is to empower all, and they know that.
So, what are some of the key components that you think that a black man needs to be successful?
I'll give you three: mental health, family support, and someone to always check what he tells himself.
You know, when it comes to us black women, we look at black men as the ones who supposed to provide and protect for us. And lately, it seems like we've been left unguarded and unprotected. So what exactly does it mean for a man to provide and protect?
Well, first we have to get back to what is a man. So just because he's a male or even identifies as a man, does he understand his duties, his responsibilities, and what is his cultural obligations? From there, once we deal with the dynamics of a relationship, he and whomever his partner is, they have to understand that they are in a relationship. They must relate and go on a journey together. And to protect and to provide, well, aggression has been pushed aside, has been even criminalized. Masculinity has been under attack. How dare us want to have a masculine month or masculine year? Some will argue that it's all the time, but it's not allowed in the black community. So to protect his capacity should be a natural inclining to protect someone who I see as part of myself. Because if I choose to have this person as my woman or whomever, if I have a group of women that identify as someone that I have an alliance with, then quite naturally I have to protect. So what does it mean to protect in the modern era? Are you under attack? Are you in defense mode? What is there to protect you from? So to provide, so there was an agenda in the early 80s that a lot of progressive women don't understand, to marginalize and incarcerate black men and hire the women because they were cheaper to hire and easier to control. Fast forward to 2024, we're in the dynamics where women, more educated, making more money, more independent. Does a strong, independent woman feel like she can humble herself to be provided for? What are the strings attached to being provided for? So I think that's more of an individualistic question, where those who are in those type of relationships or have those dynamics have to ask themselves, these are my expectations. But overall and universally, if you feel that you are a masculine, aggressive man, it is natural as breathing to put your life at risk at a time of danger. It's impulsive. It's not even. It's so reactionary. It's the same as breathing. To provide for, that could be complicated. Some women feel like you can never do enough. It depends on the dynamics of who you're with, what's your partners, and what are your partner's expectations. I think the foundation of our relationships, we don't really ask each other what are our expectations and what is my capacity and what is my bandwidth.
So why do you think so many black men are falling off and falling prey to many fruitless things within the world and agendas?
Well, when you look at the dynamics of the black race and the way that our cultures have been separated, I kind of want you to look at it like a family, right? If you have two parents in the household and you have some leadership and some guidance and some balance, then you have some direction. In the black race, what we often find is no leadership, no cultural norms, and we just spread out with our ideologies, sort of like one of your disgruntled children, one of your children who will run about and run amok until daddy comes home. Unfortunately for black men in America, daddy hasn't come home, daddy has been murdered, daddy has been assassinated, daddy has been falsely accused and put away in prison for life by the millions. So with the absence of leadership, absence of an example, absence of fathership, we often are raising ourselves from a broken place.
So do you think that there's an agenda to emasculate and feminize our black men?
Oh, absolutely. If you look at the rites of passage, right? We come from a tribal society. People don't like to admit it, but we come from a tribal society. Our culture is tribal. In those tribes, we did not allow the weak to survive. Only the strong survived. The weak had to go elsewhere. Why is that? Because we understood our responsibility as leaders in leadership role, what that meant from basically once we started walking. So now the rites of passage was removed in North America. Thereafter, mass incarceration, mass drug addiction, these are not accidents. These are social controls. And who would you experiment on the most? History tells us that black men have been experimented on the most because we are not violent. We do not revolt. So if you look at high protein, high soy, high estrogen foods that's being pumped into our school system, into our food. When you look at the eras of the 80s when we had a lot of toxic masculinity and how that was just a war was waged on it. We didn't know the difference between toxic masculinity, over-aggression, or just basic male development. So we are told and sent all these messages, so much so to the point where modern day society, young men don't realize that when they are approaching women, talking to women, and trying to have a relationship with women, that rejection is a part of it. So much so that some, I believe, are not even getting fit enough to represent themselves as a mate. So what they do is just say, well, it's easy. I'm being attracted by another male, so be it. So how someone decides that their sexuality can be programmed, how someone decides whether this is something I want to do or not, can be programmed. Some people are naturally born and they are attracted to who they're attracted to. And it's not a problem with that. The issue that we have is that when we don't have leaderships, no one to stand up, no one to pick up and take the lead, no one to say, hey, black women, I'm protecting you. Black kids, I'm guiding you. So we wonder, how can we have so many of these social ills and how come our children are running rampant? Mostly because there's no guidance. And the reason there's no guidance is because they're not around. And why aren't they around? Because there was an agenda to not only feminize us, but to remove us. We're too aggressive or too dominant, or we even just have a knowledge of self. We are deemed a threat.
So, as a black man in America, what has been your best and worst experience?
My best experience is having the Jamaican moral, ethical standards and being embraced by my community. And the very best was the nation of God's and earth. My worst experience as a black man in America was allowing myself to be put in the economics, investment, and agenda of mass incarceration, where I end up spending 2 decades behind bars. When I was born with the capabilities to become anything, literally anything. However, I was blind to know that there was an agenda, and it was easy for me to bite at those appetizers that they put before me in that era. That, I would say, was my worst.
Now, although you say that was your worst, I'm pretty sure you have turned that around to use now as to go with your great experiences. Like, it has taught you a lot.
Well, it's contextual. As long as you're alive, if you have certain of those beginnings, as I expressed earlier, automatically you're going to adapt and do certain things much differently than other people. But for my own meter of accomplishment, I would have been so much further and been able to have so much more freedom, so much more time, so much more financial stability if I were not behind bars. So yes, I've turned it around. I've made do with what I had no matter where I was. And I add value no matter where I am. However, you know, sometimes you just feel like you need a break. And you just feel like it's retirement age. So when you have the capacity, at some point, it's challenging to always have to work twice as hard. So incarceration, if you have any type of ambition, you have to work 2 times, sometimes 3 times harder. If you are committed to legitimacy, and if you have decided that crime is beneath you, like I have, sometimes you have to work 3 times harder. And it's not labor I'm talking about. Sometimes I'm talking about the mental work that's required. That's a full-time job.
Now, do you think that black men have to work hard naturally just because of their skin tone?
Well, of course, once again, we are marginalized based on our skin tone. The greatness of our melanin has always put us under attack. So you have to understand that Barack Obama was a prime example. No matter how prepared you are, no matter how skilled you are, you're getting blocked. And the worst part about racism is black people don't believe it exists. They don't believe that there are keepers of the gate. They don't believe that people will deny you opportunities because of the color of your skin. So not only do you have to deal with the ignorance of those who are committed to that ignorance, you have to deal with the ignorance of your own people, your own support, sometimes in your own household, that don't believe in your gifts, your achievements, and your abilities.
What would you say the message that you would leave with our black men of today? And I want you to think about the age range of 25 to 40, because our young men need a message.
My message to black men will be that I am not your enemy. When you see me in the mornings, when you see me in the afternoons, and when you see me at evenings, smile. You don't have to look at me as I'm a threat, because I am not your enemy. People who have looked like you have not done the worst things to you or for you. It is people who do not look like you who has done the worst. My other message to black men is be careful what you tell yourself. We are in an age of social media. That media is to put ideas in your brain through images. And oftentimes we are chasing these social media stereotypes and feeling that we are missing out on life because we are watching someone else's life. No, you have to live your own life. You have the greatness in you, no matter what the odds are. My last message to black men is not only be intentional, but be international. there's a whole world out there. I know some of you are really catching hell in the hood that you in. Get a plane ticket, get a passport, even if it takes a couple of years to do it, and go. Go international. International currency is currency. International social dynamics do not affect you the same, especially countries that will love and embrace your black skin. Be international and intentional with your life. You only got one shot at it. You get to live every single day until you die and transition and transform. So my message to you is to realize the value of what it means to be you. Be careful what you tell yourself. And never forget that people are plotting and scheming. All liquor companies and menthol companies plotting and scheming for your demise on a regular basis. You are great.
Para cara